everyone, and welcome to the Leadership Heart Podcast with Sandra J. Horton, the Growth Catalyst. Well, welcome to the Leadership Heart Podcast, the show where bold innovation meets conscious leadership. I am your host, Sandra J. Horton, and I believe that leadership is not about titles. It's about impact, intention, and the courage to serve others. And on this podcast, we go beyond strategy and those surface level successes to have real and honest conversations with change makers in health and tech and innovation, social impact, and beyond. You will hear from visionary leaders who are truly building organization or supporting change in organizations that put people first. Leaders who truly understand that in a world powered by technology, it's humanity that must lead the way. So if you are ready to lead with purpose and clarity and heart, you are in the right place. So let's dive in. Let's welcome our amazing guest today. I'm going to bring up, there she is, all the way from Mexico City, my beautiful friend, Diana Ajzen. Welcome, Diana. Thank you for joining me today. What an honor.
Thank you, Sandra. Thank you for having me here and give me the opportunity to share with you some of my ideas about leadership and some of my insights about leadership. So thank you very much for having me here.
Well, I'm just so delighted and so excited to have you. And so why don't we start off with a bit about your bio, because I always like people to know a little bit more about my guests, and then we'll jump on into some fun questions as we do always on the Leadership Heart podcast. So a little bit about Diana. Diana has such a wealth of knowledge, everyone. She is a Master Certified Coach. I have to read this because I can memorize it all. She's not beyond being a master coach. She's a supervisor. She's a mentor. She has over 2 decades of experience, everyone, in leadership, education, organizational transformation, importantly, culture. And she began her career as a special education teacher. So you know what it takes to help support the youth to learn, and has pioneered many projects in educational technology before dedicating herself fully to adult learning and coaching. Her work truly works with executives and teaching coaching across teams, utilizing, which I love, and we're going to talk about this, a systems approach that integrates psychology, mindfulness, and positive intelligence. So hold on to that moment. And I am also going to attempt to say your beautiful company in Spanish, and I'm going to try. The Coaching con Vision and Posibilia is the name I'm hoping. Did I get reasonably close?
Yes, reasonably close, very close.
Oh, thank you. But I will not attempt the beautifulness of, she's also an author. Can you please state your beautiful book?
Yeah, my book is about generating a new vision for the future, and it has to do with the conversations that we have and within ourselves and in the unconscious and everything. So all those paradigms and all those ideas that we have that we believe are the true.
Oh.
But really,
so let's dive into those beliefs. Let's dive into something fun. So what's a little fun fact that maybe people don't know about you that you like to share with my audience? I would love to, let's kind of unearth a few little fun facts.
Little fun facts. Well, one of them, you already mentioned that in my early life, I was a special ed teacher, and I work with a lot of children and their parents in getting through being deaf or having special needs. All that we know now as neurodiversity. I was working with that before that term got in. So with children with ADD and children with different needs, but none of them were blind. And this is where the other part of me comes. I also went through a part of me that loves technology. I was
Mm,
in technology in education a lot longer than it has been in the regular market. So for me, finding technology with special education and bringing it into leadership has been like very easy and like a path that I followed.
I
So
love that. And it's a unique path. And we don't hear a lot about, as you said, you were really before the times in terms of doing special education. And let's jump into that, because if we look at, and I have a deep love for teachers. My husband's a retired teacher. Where my whole family, there's so many teachers around us, and we all are coaching and teaching in different ways or different things, but they still are purposeful. We're looking to create a change, a growth, learning opportunity. So let's jump into a little bit about the self-discovery through this. So you've worked with these complex educational systems, you've worked with teams across different industries. So how do you begin to read or understand the present state of a team's culture? Because today we're really talking about culture and teams and working in these systems. So knowing that you're coming into something, how do you identify that current culture? Let's start there.
well, the first thing that I think we have to understand is that it doesn't matter how good our strategy is to change culture. If we don't address the culture, it will eat the strategy for breakfast.
Indeed.
So, indeed, yeah. Because when we work with individuals, we coach individuals within a company or within an organization, they start feeling like an island. Like nobody understands my language. And I don't
Mhm.
have a niche where all this new awareness that I'm getting, all these new ideas and that I'm getting, the insights, will find a fertile ground. So if we work only with the individual, chances are that the culture will lead him yes or yes. And
Mhm.
the other part of it is that uh, we need to address the elephant in the room, and that's the culture. If I
Mhm.
have a culture of no mistakes, and mistakes are terrible, and I try to bring a culture of mistakes are where you learn. Mistakes are a path to growth. It's where creativity is born. And you have these two cultures, you are setting up the leader for failure.
Mhm.
So
I agree. It's holding that and understanding that balance between a culture that's growth oriented, allows you to fail forward, to learn from it, and that's a closed culture, which is more fixed, top down, is kind of what I'm sensing. So you've worked across these cultures. So how do you help a new leader understand, how do you start to create the change? Let's say I'm new and I want to come into a organization. I've been hired. I'm a new manager, not a leader, but a manager. How do I start to create the change that I want to see in that organization?
I think that we can start from many places. In coaching condition, we train blind people as coaches, and we integrate them to leadership programs in different companies where they coach the leaders, and that's middle management, and they are leaders also.
Mhm.
So we don't define leadership as somebody that has people under care, but on somebody that needs to grow by himself and with a team. Even if it's peers or it's up or down or whatever, it's
Mhm.
working in collaborative teams with trust and with the understanding that my ideas are not fixed on stones. that my
Mhm.
ideas are just interpretations of the world we live in, and the world that I can distinguish from my background, from my filters, and I cannot see the reality. So when I see that we are made of stories, and those stories are the ones that relate to me, to the world in some way, then I can
Mhm.
start to understand that other one's stories are as good, bad, or truthful as my own.
Mhm.
Where do
Yes.
I align my own stories to yours so we can collaborate and work together?
I love that. And you made a really important point. And welcome to everyone who's tuning in, whether you stay a short time or a long time. Welcome, welcome. And for those who will be listening to this podcast later, really take some notes. Like have a piece of paper beside you because there's always some opportunity to reflect on even just a little golden nugget just got dropped there. You don't have to have people underneath you. We are all leaders, whether you're informal or a formal leader. This is the piece. How can we own change? How can we be those conduits of change? So, what I heard there is different perspectives being open to different people. So, how do we build more connection between people for full understanding? Because I know you do a lot of inclusivity, diversity work. So how do we build that? How can we get along better? How can we understand each other a little bit clearer? Maybe that's a better way to ask.
Okay, so I think that one way to do that is to let it go. First of all, of those stories that they said it's a fixed
Mhm.
mindset, and second of all, building a culture of trust, and that's the very hard thing because if I'm a type of leader that thinks that only my way is the only way to do things right, then I will have followers, but I won't have apostles. I don't have anybody that will really create something because they are going only to mimic what I do. But when I
Mhm.
allowed to a space of creativity, a space of growth, a space of experimenting and failing, then I will be in that area of leadership where people follow me because I inspire them, because
Mm.
I have a vision and I have a way of making you feel powerful. I'm not empowering you, but I'm making you feel powerful, making you feel like you matter, making you feel like you are important. You are not just somebody there. You are really important in the team, and what you bring to the team adds value.
Mhm. I'm
So,
going to just interject there for a moment because I think that's a key point there, Diana, is about the feeling. You're using a lot of the words about your feeling, you're creating that emotional connection. You feel it, right? Because people process whether it's, a visual, auditory, kinesthetic, like there's different ways that we take in information. So, how do you know if trust is missing?
oh, that's a very good question because it's like a it's like the air. Whenever you if you are breathing oxygen, you take it for granted. So when there is trust, you don't it's like the air that you're breathing. But when there's mistrust, is when you are lacking air and something is pushing you back and something is in the back of your head in a fight or flight position where you are
Mhm.
always looking for those loopholes where somebody is going to hurt you or somebody is going to take advantage of you. And, and you can see it very clearly in when you lose trust, whenever you are trying to put some filters. I don't trust you, then I cannot have you in an open computer doing whatever you need. So I have to put filters, and so you cannot access anything that has to do or doesn't have to do with work, because I don't trust you to be in in your work. The other day, I had a leader saying, "Well, I don't know if I can trust them because they are always texting." So they have their
Mm.
phones and they are always texting. And I don't know how to trust them because I don't know if they are texting about me, and they are losing time, and they are not being present in what they have to do. So what do I have to do? To take away their phones, what they are. And I said, well, you're not running a kindergarten or an elementary school.
Good reframe.
So what do you think you can do so people get what they have to do? And at the end, he said, I think that it doesn't matter what they are doing during the work days as soon as if I get results.
Yeah.
If they fulfill whatever they have to do, I don't care about the other things. Because if they start pulling or pushing others to do their job while they are texting, that's not. If they are not getting results, that's a problem. So you can find some areas or some metrics that will tell you. And if you don't trust
Great.
them, what do you have to do to regain that trust? Because there is no relationship and there's no collaboration where there is not trust.
Yeah, and it really starts, it starts with us as individuals, as a leader, to like look at ourselves, because we create that mirror image, and it's an interesting place. And I want to welcome those who are listening in. Thanks for joining. Really appreciate it. Put some questions in the chat. Love to hear from you if you have that capacity to do so. Diana is an amazing expert in this area. So we're talking about culture. We're talking about, really understanding ourselves as leaders. We have the 3 pillars in the Leadership Heart podcast, talking about self-discovery. So, listen in, lean in, and then take some things away. What are you learning about yourself? Reflect. This is an opportunity to reflect about you, the listener. What is showing up for you? What are you experiencing in this moment? Write it down and then look at it after we complete on the podcast. Because trust is a huge issue right now, especially in this world of chaos and people. I'm experiencing it in the work that I'm doing, that people are very reactionary versus being responsive. Like they're very quick to fire, they're quick to respond. So how do we build in resiliency within the teams in this time of, chaos, of uncertainty, of not knowing kind of what is happening right now, like what's within our sphere of control?
I think that, and the first thing is accountability and responsibility, because there are things that are going to happen that are completely out of our scope, our realm of control. So if we can identify when we are trying to change the other person instead of looking at myself and the role that I'm playing, then I will lose a lot of energy trying to do that. And it's going to get into a mood of frustration and a mood of, oh my God, what am I doing here? So I really think that the first thing that we have to do is accept and surrender ourselves to something that I cannot change. And then come back and say, well, what can I change? And you will come to the realization that the only thing that you can change is your relationship with what is happening. And by doing so, I can distinguish if my relationship is like, oh my God, I'm a victim because everything, and maybe you don't use that word because it's very hard, but it's in the back of the conversation. But you say, come on, everything that is happening around me is so bad. Well, I can't do anything. And it's really a conversation of powerless, feeling really powerless. So when you come to the conversation of surviving, when you come to the conversation of being able to act upon that and being accountable for everything that you're leaving behind, because there's going to be debris, there's going to be a lot of damage around you, but you can take accountability for that. That is in your control, in your realm. Because if you're trying to take responsibility for somebody else, then you will carry something that will never work for you. It's like
Huh.
carrying like boxes and boxes and boxes of everybody else
Next up.
instead of being
Hmm.
here. And we can
Wow.
talk a lot about that and the victim and survivor, or victim, savior, and victimizer, all the triangle. So everything that of that, it's in the back of trying to control, to manipulate, and
Hmm.
and being accountable for somebody else's success or failure.
Yeah, I think that's really powerful. And I would offer that those are all important areas to explore for yourself. So there's that clarity and understanding. Because knowledge really is power. And the words we use are so important. The words, what we associate to the words, particularly as we're going through change. So we're starting to explore ourselves, we're getting to know ourselves, we're wanting to build, and I'm using purposefully the word wanting, because we can create trust if we're intentional with focused and we're open to building those connections. But sometimes teams can have a lot of barriers that come up for those kind of opportunities to grow and to build connection. Some of them can be political kind of dynamics, unspoken power plays, fragmented communication within teams. So how can a leader, or how can you suggest to help a leader to navigate those kind of complexities that come up when we're looking at change in a better culture?
Well, the first thing that comes to my mind right now, it's about vision. It's about having this vision where what I do really matters, and it's really important. So if I have this vision that what we do as a team, as we do what we do as an organization, has an impact in somebody else's life, in the whole context, in the system, then my purpose, instead of being just doing this task, is why
Mm-hmm.
am I doing this task? What value does it add to the value, to the team? And most of all, if I don't do it, what consequences will it have? And not only to the uh, 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 financials of the company, but in the long term, in the long view, and that's where a systemic leader or a systemic team has a lot to offer, because I don't see only what I have to do here, but am I being responsible with the ecology? Am I being responsible to the community? Am I doing something to add value? Or I'm just taking and taking and taking from the system and looking for myself and looking for somebody else to victimize so I can save him. So those kinds of games, those kinds of roles, they
Mm-hmm.
only lead to what we saw what we see in a lot of our leaders, that they are just provoking your victimhood. And a good
Yeah, that's a
leader,
powerful thing, Diane. I want to jump in there because that
okay,
is what we mean. We are seeing that so much in our socials, in world leaders and things like that. Is the provocation that is off-putting, that is causing a lot of this discord. And we see it because people are just constantly bombarded, provoked, and antagonized to find that peace. I want to shift a little bit to the importance of finding coping skills, finding ways to find that peace within, to go back into the heart, get out of the mind and more into the heart, because that's a key piece. And so whether you're working with, like you said, youth earlier, young adults, emerging, aspiring leaders, executives, how do you help leaders find that peace within to calm?
well, the first thing is that our inside trip can be very hurtful, can be but can be amazing also. Because
Mhm.
whenever we go to our inside and outside into the context that it's bringing us to act in some ways, we can see
Mhm.
those patterns that are driving us. Because if not, we are in an automatic pilot. And when we
Mhm.
are in an automatic pilot, those conversations, this unconscious, this collective unconscious, is driving me. But the first thing is looking at them. Once we can distinguish, that we have those patterns, that they're not good or bad. I'm not, it's not an assessment of this is good or bad. It's something that it's helpful for me to go forward, to move forward or wherever I want to be, or
Mm-hmm.
it's starting to be tight. It's starting to be something that I see, but I don't want to see.
Mm-hmm.
But it's starting to make some noise inside of me. So when I start looking at them and I can distinguish them, then I can act upon them. Then I go
I love
off
that.
automatic pilot and then I can see them. And I can see the mood that is behind that, the assessments, the biases, because we all have them
Yep.
and we need them. We need patterns, we need paradigms, we need them. So what we have to choose is, are they helpful to bring me forward or not? And once I get to know them, then I if and get to choose if I want to go on with them or not. Then I can uh, build all this resilience and all these tools inside of me to get rid of them and say, let me out, don't hold me back, I want to go move forward, or thank you for being there, what is the message that you're sending,
Mm-hmm.
or saying, oh, I need new ones. And for that we need to make a pause, we need to make a contemplation pause to be able to see ourselves from the inside out.
Mm. I love that. I have to stop there just for a moment
Okay.
to pause because it's such an important point and it's life changing. So if you're listening to this, what have been your moments in your life, in your journey, in your transition, where you've come to that aha awakening moment, that power of choice? Because it shows up, whether it's a traumatic event or whether it's those niggling, I call them heart signals inside, because perhaps you're just in your brain, but really it's like you need to go inside and figure out yourself. Who am I? And then once you do that, so much, it's like your perspective shifts, it opens
Completely.
up. And I want to go
Absolutely.
down the line of emotional intelligence
Yes.
because, as both of us are EQI practitioners, this is for me. I just wanted to quickly put something up because I think this is always a powerful place to do so. And I'm just going to pop this up. So, the EQI, this is a model of emotional intelligence originally, made popular by Daniel Goleman. This is the Reverend Baron model of assessing emotional intelligence. And, Diana, you've talked a lot about feelings, and there's different aspects of knowing self. So I wanted to just kind of touch a little bit about EQ and how can a new leader who wants to change the culture really dive into. I want to just not so much talk about self-perception, but self-expression, because to me, this is where we get into trouble sometimes. It's that dialogue between being assertive and being too aggressive. It's about being emotionally hijacked by emotions and being able to be independent of our emotions and how to express. So I'm going to come back to you, going to come back up here, and let's chat about that because I really want to
Okay.
talk about emotional intelligence at this
Well,
point.
first, I think that it's very important for us to acknowledge that we are emotional beings.
Yeah.
We are going to feel. We have emotions, even though with some leaders, they say, no, 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 that's another part, and that has a lot of, in our unconscious to do with that. The other part of it is, again, making ourselves responsible for our actions. And one of
Mm-hmm.
them is just imagine that we are wired up to feel emotions. But the emotions only last in our body for a few seconds, like 17 seconds, 20 seconds. It depends on your background, if it's sadness or if it's anger. But they only last, the moment of emotion only lasts for a few seconds.
Mm-hmm.
But we segregate a lot of chemicals and a lot of hormones that makes us react in some way. What keeps us in a mood of those emotions is the conversations that we have about them. Because our body doesn't recognize between reality and fantasy. That's why
Mm-hmm.
when we are watching a movie, we cry. And our body gets into that because we cry or we laugh because we are in there. So we settle that emotion into a mood because of the conversations that we have about it. But they are just conversations. They're just
They are.
conversations.
They're
Nothing.
conversations. They make a difference in terms of, especially in teams and with all this chaos and things that are happening, the new tech and the realities of, oh, I'm going to lose my job. There's so many myths and so many things that people are really like being stimulated or overstimulated by. And so I'm going to shift a little bit. So how do we, with this overstimulation, how can a leader build that culture of trust, understanding the difference between how to have empathy, but how to also be at the same time have assertiveness, not aggression, all of these things. So how do we balance that to really build in? I really wanted to hone in on those pieces to build
Yeah.
that trust in teams.
I, I think the leader has to be aware that he's also a human being.
Mm-hmm.
And he has to model that if he wants the people to have a balanced life, he has to be balanced himself and take care of himself or herself first of all. If we don't take care of our needs, we're going to fall into burnout, or we're going to fall into the emotions, and something, the bill will come, either we like it or not. So
I love that. The bill will come.
yeah,
Sorry, but that's true though. You're good
we will have
mindset, aren't you?
we will have to pay for it sooner or later. And if
So
we
true.
don't model that, then
Yeah.
we are not being congruent. And one of the things that makes us believe in somebody is
Mm-hmm.
congruence
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
between what we think, what we feel, what we say, and what we do. And if
Yeah.
something in between is broken, then it's walk the talk, or I won't believe you.
Yeah.
The other thing is results. So there are uh, somebody calls four or other five different authors have talked about that. But first of all, we have to be congruent, and we have to be able to give results,
Mm-hmm.
because you are going to believe in me as a leadership coach, but you're not going to hire me to perform surgery.
Yeah.
So, so
That's
I
not
don't
your
have that
expertise,
ability.
my friend.
Exactly. That's
So,
not
so,
one of
so
my
let me layer this on. Let me layer on something else on top of this. So,
yeah.
one of the things is, okay, so we made a decision. We were self-discovering. We're going to go from the inside out, and the change is happening. We're building this new culture. We're open to different perspectives. We are meeting people where they're at. They have empathy, but now we're going into applying the AI world because you've done a lot of work. I know you're doing stuff in metaverse, immersive coaching environments, which I love. I think it's really cool and very forward thinking, but now it's a reality with all of us. How do we then layer those pieces on to build a trusting? Like, how can technologies reshape how we build trust and culture in teams? Because that's a real reality.
Oh yeah, and that's a future reality which can be reality, because
Yeah,
there's no reality in the future. They are just assessments.
true.
So first of all, we have to to trust ourselves that we're going to continue to be relevant as human beings in the IA world. And
Mm-hmm.
then we have to figure out how we're going to keep on being relevant. Yes, a lot of jobs and a lot of things are going to change because of that, because we have robots, and we have and artificial intelligence can do a lot of things for us.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to figure out and be flexible onto that. And if we are afraid, we can use this fear to grow, or we can use this fear as an anchor That's again our decision. The other part of it is that I think that the market will change, and what we
Mm-hmm.
need to grow is on intelligence, our emotional intelligence, our way to collaborate, and our way to relate to others.
Mm-hmm.
And if we do that, then we can be resilient, and then we can build the tools that we need to be relevant in the next future of the world. Also, we need
Mm-hmm.
to be aware that new leaders or new people, the millennials and the new people, they have another way to relate to what is life. They don't think like us. I'm sorry. They don't think that you have to work and kill yourself for 8 hours a day during 40 years just to be able to retire. No, they want to enjoy what they're doing, and they
Mm-hmm.
want to leave a legacy. So you can build with them strong teams, again, if you have a vision that others will follow.
Mm-hmm.
So
And actually modeling like that shared values, but modeling the way forward, being that open conscious leader, which is my big thing, is all about conscious leadership, like being present in the moment. So it comes back to what? The lens comes back to us, doesn't it?
yeah, to our
It's how we
presence,
show up.
yes, to our presence, to our
Yeah.
listening skills, to our listening to our biases, and being able to discover if those biases are really there or not, and what do we want to do with them,
Mm-hmm.
to our assessments of others. If we are looking to have a, a, a team that will talk to each other,
Mm.
that will have conversations, powerful conversations, that they give feedback to each other, that they give recognition. So there is a lot of, like we do in coaching commission, there we have a lot of those skills that we start helping leaders to build little by little and step by step during a period of time, because you cannot, absolutely, you cannot have a change in one team building.
Yes.
You
So
cannot
really,
have.
what's inspired you then? Because this kind of makes me like what you're doing in that work is very transformative. Like I don't hear that around the globe. Like I've researched. I'm like, who else is doing this? You really are the N of one of doing this pioneer work. So what inspired you, and what are the possibilities that that work is opening up?
Well, we have several trainings, and one of them I really love because we are doing it with using an avatar, well, a World of Warcraft simulation of what teamwork is like. And as I said, the body doesn't recognize when you are playing or you are doing. So, whatever you are doing in the game, it's whoever you are, because when you're playing, all the mask and all the obstacles, everything falls down, and it comes a moment when you say, come on, I need this from you, stop it. And you are, and you learn to give feedback, you
Yeah.
learn to give recognition, and by doing that you are having fun, but also you are feeling what it's like to be in a team as a leader, and then relent that leadership to somebody else, because during the training you are not always going to be the leader. So you start finding
Mm-hmm.
other aptitudes of your team that you didn't have before because you were the leader.
Correct. You're taking on different roles to experience what it's like from a different perspective. It's very
Exactly.
experiential. Like you're in it, you see that, then it changes you.
Yeah.
I love that.
and
I love that.
and you can get upset, you can get angry, you can get frustrated, because you're going to be there. Absolutely,
Yeah.
you're going to be there. So it's like a laboratory, experimental laboratory of what happens with a team whenever they are working in a real world, and
Mm-hmm.
you live through all of that during a few weeks, and whatever you learn, it's so embedded in emotions
Mm-hmm.
that you will introject that into yourself, because you will
Yeah.
never forget what you learn, not only by doing, but by feeling and having the emotion of being there.
And that's the neuroscience. I mean, we know that the more that you go into that state with the emotions, you anchor it in, you are shifting your state. You're reprogramming your mind, like map in your mind. And it's very powerful and it will transform you. And I think for me, as we kind of come to the close of our podcast, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can keep talking to you, Diana. You know that.
Yeah.
It's so powerful. So are there suggestions, tips, tools that you would like to share with the leaders out there who are listening, who are going through some uncertainty at this time, who want to build a culture of trust? What should they start to do today to really transform their teams?
Embrace uncertainty as something that will happen. Let go of trying to control everything, and let go of that monkey mind of yours that is saying, if you don't control, everything will fail. Those catastrophic thoughts are really what gets you into the anxiety of saying, I have to control. So it's a circle that you won't get out of it if you don't get help. Second, be very aware when you are falling into burnout or into that anxiety that don't let you move, because you are going to get that into your team also. Moods are contagious, and even if you try not to show it, your team will feel it. So be aware that you are not alone. Also, those thoughts of leadership being loneliness, it's not true. Leadership is collaboration. Be open to be vulnerable and to say,
There's the word.
oh, no.
Vulnerable.
Yes. I was saving that to the end. Being able to say to your team, I don't know, I need help, or I'm going through a crisis and I need you to come on with me, will really, really, really bring out the best of people, not the worst.
Yeah.
But you have to work on that.
Yeah.
And
Consistent right action.
yes,
With a
and
heart.
then feel free to give open feedback, but learn how to get to do feedback, how to give feedback. Learn, because if not, you're going to be an obnoxious jerk, or you're going to manipulate, or you're going to fall into empathy. So you have to learn how to give feedback, and also don't be afraid of recognizing others for what they do and yourself.
Wow. Solid recommendations, tips, and tools. So please take time now, go back when we conclude and re-listen to that, and then ask yourself these good, solid questions. What really resonated for you? What did you feel that really touched you, that you felt that, wow, that's something that's showing up for me? Where did you feel it? What did you experience? What does it perhaps mean for you? And what is one action, one goal, or anything that's attached to that that you could do to either unlock it, enhance it, wherever that is, whatever that was for you, will really make a profound change, because you're going into your heart. And at the Leadership Heart podcast, we always go back to the heart of the matter, because the heart leads. The head may not be clear, but the heart knows, your intuition. So in closing, Diana, what would you like to say? How can people learn? How can they learn more about you and all the great work you're doing in Mexico City? Your website. I'm going to open it up. Please share how we can get in touch with you.
Thank you. Well, you can contact me by in my email. The easier one is my first name, my last name.com, Diana.Ajzen, Gmail, because if I don't want to go on spelling all the other ones. So, I don't know if I'm that skillful on spelling the other one. So
that's
Gmail is
wonderful.
easier. But also in my website, in Possibilia with double .mx. And I think that by sending me a mail, that it's my Gmail or whatever. I will be here and I can answer any questions. And the other thing is that, as a last word, please be kind to yourselves. Be compassionate and be kind to yourselves. And learn how to not punish yourself because you make a mistake. So be kind and be compassionate with yourself. And then people will react that way to you.
I
So
love that. Thank you so much. My heart is full. I have great gratitude for having you on. There's so many other areas we could jump into, but really today was about a journey. It's a journey to go within through our self-discovery. I re-anchored into that change readiness, some ways to build the team, build trust and cultures, and how to have that sustainable impact long term, what to look for, how to move yourself forward. Because at the end of the day, this beautiful world, there's so much goodness within our day to day. And if we're able to get out of that reactionary world, all of those things that are coming at us in this complex, chaotic world, we can find space, we can find joy, and we can truly live with our heart connected to our mind, to a higher calling and consciousness. We didn't get into that at all, but next time, Diana, we're going to go there.
oh yeah, there's a lot more to do that to go over there, about mindfulness and about contemplation and about really taking care of yourself first. So
And
a
being
lot.
kind.
Mhm.
Being kind. So with my greatest gratitude, I'm going to say thank you
Thank
again
you.
for myself to you, Diana. I'm going to meet you down at the other side. But as we conclude again, I'm going to be closing up this series at the Leadership Heart podcast for the next little while. I'm going to be focused and preparing. I do, as everyone knows, a bunch of episodes, and then I take a little bit of time, and then I'll come back in 2026. I may have one or two other guests coming up, but really this segment has been about some of the changes and having the need to really work to humanize, to be our best versions of ourselves, to lead consciously with emotional intelligence, to really show up in our best way as we go through this chaotic time. Because you know what? We can go through it easily now. If we imagine a new future, you're not your past. You don't need to be anxious about the future. Be in your present moment. Live it fully with gratitude, and truly you will be inspired and great things will come to you because we are our own energetic being. And so let's raise our frequency, let's give love, be love, and that truly will connect us to more people and good work will be done. So thank you again from myself, Sandra J.
Thank
Horton.
you.
I wish you all the absolute best, and we'll see you again in our next series. Bye for now.